Oh, we are so back. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Alicia here, and we are reviewing The Ultimatum, Season 3, Episode 1. Okay, Episode 1. Now, The Ultimatum, first of all, if you don't know the premise, The Ultimatum is where these couples, one is ready to get married, one is not. They come together on this show, and then it's 6 couples. They break up after the first day, and they're technically single. Okay, technically single. And so they move around. I want to call it the villa because I've been watching like Love Island reviews, but they move around. Is it a resort, a hotel, an apartment? They move around the space. Talking to the different, or like the other individuals in this experiment. With all the guys go on speed dates with all the girls, and then at the end of all that, they come back together and they make a choice of who they want to pair up with in the trial marriage for the first 3 weeks, and then they will go back to their original partners for another trial marriage for the second 3 weeks. And the trial marriages are so that they can kind of get an idea of, if I am married to this person, what would that look like? So they're meeting family, they're living together, they're basically having to make sure that they're adjusting their lives for the other person. But at the end of the 6 weeks for both trial marriages, then they have to decide, okay, am I going to propose to the person I came with? Am I going to leave with somebody else? Or am I going to leave single? Now, I have been watching The Ultimatum for a while. So I watched Season 1, Season 2, and then I watched The Ultimatum, I think it's Queer Love. I'll put it up on the screen. But like, they have different variations of The Ultimatum, and it's good. It's good because every time I cannot understand why these people would come on the show, because every season it never fails. Somebody is going to get a little too close to their trial marriage partner, and their original partner is going to feel something away. But we're here to talk about Season 3, so let's get right on into it, y'all. Okay, so Episode 1, we are introduced to all the couples. So, and side note, before I get into it, I feel like The Ultimatum producers, they told these people, if you are not fine, you gotta get on out of here. If you are not attractive, please exit stage left. Okay, please exit stage right and stage left. This is not the show for you. Thank you. Because this season, the women are stunning. Oh my, I'm not mad at it. So we start off with Zaina and JR. I couldn't write down all their ages on these episodes, but I do remember the ones that like really stuck out to me. But Zaina is in her 30s, so is JR. Zaina is the one that gave JR the ultimatum. They have been dating for 3 years. Also, side note, I like that this time all the couples have been dating for at least I think 2 years or more. I like that because if you only dating somebody for a year, an ultimatum is a little strange. I'm sorry. It's a little strange. I feel like you can still spend a little bit more time to get to know your partner. 2 years and on, I can see it a little bit more, you know, especially for somebody like Zaina who's in her 30s, dating for 3 years. And yeah, she is dating with intention. I do feel her on that. They met on a dating app. JR has been married before. He married when he was younger. We don't find out what age just yet, but he married when he was younger, and they did get divorced. So he is kind of holding that kind of close to his chest. He hasn't gotten over that yet, and he's just not ready to be married. But Zaina said, listen, if we're not dating to get married, then what are we doing here? Exactly. Zaina said, I am ready to have kids now. Okay, like I'm looking at freezing my eggs because I'm already, I think she's 31. She might be 31, but she's already 31. You know, the biological clock for women, it starts getting high risk the more you go above 35. So it's like, you know, I feel her. She's like, look, the clock is ticking, babes. I need to know, are you in or are you out? It's like that rock meme. Are you in or are you out? JR says, well, I'm still just trying to figure out, is she the right person for me so that we can get married? But honestly, y'all have been dating for 3 years. How do you not know if she's the right person for you or not. Suspicious. Suspicious. Nick and Sandy are next. They have been dating for 2.5 years. And Nick is the one who issued the ultimatum. Nick and Sandy, I think they're the ones that have like a 10-year age gap. Like he's 34 and she is 24. That may not be correct, but I know he's in his 30s and she is in her 20s. And the relationship started with drunk calls and drunk texts and her going up to his apartment at 3 a.m. And she's still going out. I think she's 25 and she's still going out and having fun because she's in her 20s and he is ready to be settled down with kids and he's an artist. Okay, that's important. That's important. Keep that on the cusp. Okay, he is an artist, but he's ready to be settled down with kids and the white picket fence and eventually the dog. Like he's ready. Keep in mind that they're 10 years apart though, and keep in mind how the relationship started. Okay, that's gonna come in handy later, because she was saying, he said he wants a family right now. She's saying she wants a family eventually, but she's not ready to settle down just yet because she's 25. She still has time to live her life. It's a mismatch. It's a mismatch. It is a 10-year age gap. Of course, y'all are going to be in different stages of life. So immediately I was side-eyeing both of them because Nick, you knew. I had an inkling, and I'm sure you can fill in the blank of what Nick was wanting when he gave Sandy the ultimatum. And also, side note, does Sandy not look like Jessica from Love is Blind? Because at first I was a little confused. I said, Jessica, is that you? Like they gotta have some kind of relation to something. I'm telling you, they look alike. Next we have Mariah and Caleb. They've been dating for 2 years. Mariah is the one that issued the ultimatum to Caleb. She's 24 and she knows what she wants. She is ready to be loved out loud and have a stable, healthy, happy marriage. Caleb is saying he doesn't want her. He's scared that she is rushing into that marriage decision and that later on down the line she will regret it and then come to resent him, because they also have an age gap, but I think it's only like 4 years. Like I think he's 28 and he's just worried that because she is younger than him, she's just kind of rushing and continuing to rush to that next step without kind of stopping to consider, okay, is Caleb the person that I really want to marry because he's Caleb, or is Caleb the one I want to marry because he's here with me right now? Okay. Then we cut to Dave. We cut to Dave in his little confessional saying that he is already checking out the other ladies on in the experiment. Okay. That is how we are introduced to Dave and Vanessa, and already Dave was kind of giving me the ick. I'm like, dude, we haven't even heard how long y'all have been dating yet, and you are already looking around to see if the grass is greener on the other side. We have Dave and Vanessa. They have been dating for 3 years, and every time she tries to bring up marriage, she feels like the conversation gets awkward because Dave will like deflect and basically not continue the conversation. It sounded like to me like she would try to be like, you know, hey, is this leading towards marriage? Like, where are we going from here? Are we dating with intention, or are we just dating to have fun? And I feel like he would respond with like, marriage? Why do we need that? Keep that in mind, because that's going to come in later for the later part of the episode, okay? Next we get to Aria and Scotty. Aria, stunning. Oh my, stunning. Oh, they have been dating for 3 years, okay? And Scotty gave the ultimatum. Aria does want to be married, just not right now, because they live in different cities, y'all. They are long distance. They have been, we don't know how long they've been long distance for, but they're long distance. So it makes sense why she's not ready to jump into a marriage right now, because they're not even living near each other. No. And plus, she was saying at the table that she feels like if they do get married, because she's at the peak of her career right now, if they do get married, she is going to have to be the one to make a lot of the sacrifices as far as moving to his city, finding a new job, basically starting over and getting settled where he is at. And she feels like she's worried, or she has a tendency to do things just because men want her to, not necessarily because she wants to and it's aligned with what her man wants. And so she's worried that if she does do that right now, she's going to come to resent Scotty, because her parents were in, I'm assuming, a similar situation, but her mom did end up resenting her father for the choices she felt like, or the mom felt like she was forced to make. And I hear that. That's bad. Like, in all the seasons of the Ultimatum, I feel like Arya and Scotty have an actual valid reason for why the marriage talks are not going anywhere. But also Scotty had a valid point when he said, okay, I hear that, but is it life circumstances that are preventing you from getting married, or is it me? Like, do you want to be married to me and your worries are holding you back? Because we can work through that. Or are you just opposed to marriage in general and and I am not enough to change your mind? Because you can't work through that. You can't. If somebody is completely opposed to marriage, no matter what you do, you will not change that person's mind. So I hear them. Then we find out that the Ultimatum has provided rings for each couple, so they can take this with them in their first trial marriage, or they can keep it for when they get back to their original partners. But I thought that was a cute little touch. They said, listen, if you ain't got it, because we have had some seasons where people propose with like a rock. So maybe the Ultimatum saw that and they were like, enough. Enough. We are giving you rings, so you can't play us, because the viewers were not happy and neither were we, okay? So then we cut to, the last night of the original couples, and we start with Dave and Vanessa, and it's clear Dave got complacent in his relationship, quite honestly. And I'm also feeling like Dave is expecting to come onto the show and have his pick of the women. I don't think that's going to be the case, but we will see later on in the episode. But Dave and Vanessa are talking, and Dave is like, well, why do you feel like marriage is the ultimate commitment? Like, what will be different in a marriage that I'm not already doing now? And Vanessa's like, I've answered this question 11 times. Because exactly, what do you mean? It's clear Vanessa values marriage. As her partner, if you do not value marriage, just say so. Why are you wasting this girl's time? I feel like at this point Dave is wasting Vanessa's time, because asking your partner, who clearly wants to get married, why she feels marriage is so important, a waste of time. Don't piss me off, Dave. Don't piss me off, because what are you talking about? But I feel like this is because of that epidemic where men are saying that they are okay having kids with you, but marriage is too big of a deal. Huh? No. As a woman who values marriage, okay, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I feel like at this point Dave has just been stringing her along with promises and milestones of, if we reach this point, I'll think about marriage. If we reach this point, I'll think about marriage. And he keeps moving the goalpost, because Vanessa looks so over that conversation, and I was right there with her. Stop playing in my face. Dave, stop playing in my face. But also the way he was talking about the other women at the table makes me also think too, Dave does not want to be tied to just one woman. It's giving that. It was giving that energy. He does not want to be just tied to Vanessa. He likes Vanessa. He may even love Vanessa. But the way he talked, because he even told Vanessa, like, he was looking around at the table and Mariah caught his eye. And Vanessa was like, Mariah is 10 years your junior. Mariah? And he said, well, I just thought it was interesting. I'm just telling you that it's interesting. Absolutely. Dave is unserious. And that's why he's not ready for marriage, because he knows he's unserious. But he also knows he has a good woman in Vanessa. Why would he want to give that up? Then we have Chanel and Micah. Now, we did not meet Chanel and Micah. Like, they didn't say much at the table. We're seeing them instead say a lot more in these like last night together confessionals. They have dated for 2.5 years. Chanel's the one who gave Micah the ultimatum. Micah is saying he just does not feel like now is the right time to be married. And Chanel is saying, well, I'm basically doing wife duties without the title. Because she was saying how like they've been through different things where she has proven that she will stick by your side. So why are you not willing to give her that ultimate symbol of sticking by her side, y'all sticking by each other to the end of time? I don't know what she brought up, but he brought up like how she used to Uber Eats all the time, and that was how she was making her income. And he was saying, you know, when you were there, where was I? And she was like, right next to you. And he was like, right, like when you were doing all this other stuff, where was I? And she was like, right next to you. But I'm not saying you've never been there for me. And I was like, exactly. Not you missing the point of the conversation, Micah. Especially since he said, well, you know, you just got that marketing job. And he's saying once they get married, then the kids will be in the way, and now you have to take a back seat from your job. And me and Mariah had the same thought, because she said just because we get married does not mean we immediately have to have kids. Because exactly, Micah, what are you talking about? So I feel like from that conversation, and again, this is all speculation, but I feel like from that conversation alone, Micah, when he thinks about marriage, kids are tied to that. Like, I feel like his idea of marriage is more like we have a happy relationship. We are tied to the person that we love for life, and kids are the natural like next step. Like, we've gotten married, now it's time for the kids. So I feel like they are also not on the same page where they need to talk. Okay, then we go to Sandy and Nick. And guys, Sandy clearly Sandy is ready to get on up out of there and be coupled up with somebody else, because she was also one of the ones already checking the table, seeing who was piquing her interest. Okay, the first night not even over, they already scoping the scenery out. Like, Nick wants a trophy wife or somebody that he can just show off. He is also an artist. We don't know much about their dynamic just yet, so I can only go based on, you know, speculation. I'm speculating that because he likes her energy and because he likes her looks, he issued the ultimatum so that he could tie her to him. And the way he talks, he sounds like he has money, because artists are either starving or wealthy, and he looks well fed. Next up, we see what Aria and her man are doing. So we find out that Aria and Scotty have been long distance for 9 months, and Scotty feels very lonely because they have been long distance for so long. And quite honestly, I feel like you're kind of rushing into a marriage if y'all have been long distance for 9 months. That's a long time. Like, that's almost a year. Because he was saying how he might also be looking for like that emotional connection with their trial partners, because he's not getting that from her. And honestly, Aria looked unbothered, but she also looked kind of annoyed because it's obvious y'all cannot build a completely emotional connection over text. Of course there's going to be something lacking there because y'all are long distance. So I don't know, like, the more Scotty talks, the more I feel like you're asking Aria, is she ready to be married, but are you? I don't know if the question is Aria ready to be a wife? I think the question Scotty needs to be asking himself is, am I ready to be a husband? Caleb and Mariah, we see them next. They again talk about Caleb's fear that she is rushing into or trying to rush into a marriage. Mariah saying, no, I know what I want. And I don't know, I feel like in their case, they're just on two completely separate paths. Because I hear Caleb when he says he's worried about Mariah rushing into things, but people have been married out of high school, and that's still like the love of their life, you know, 20, 30 plus years later. Like, if you know what you want, if your partner knows what they want, believe them. I hear you, Caleb, but at the same time, you're kind of telling me that you don't really trust Mariah to know her own mind. And then we flash back over to Zaina and JR. Now listen, Zaina and JR, the more they both talk to each other, the more I'm like, oh, y'all are both unserious. Y'all are both unserious in this current relationship. Like, they are both unserious to each other, because Zaina's saying that their relationship has kind of just always been whatever happens. They are a good example of, if your partner is more emotionally unavailable than you are, and you don't kind of push them, maybe not meet you where you're at, but at least meet in the middle, you are going to get a relationship like that where it's just that whatever happens, where it's just a good time, it's just a good vibe. But where is the real substance? Every time JR talks about Zaina, he talks about how she's funny, she's spontaneous, she's a good time. It's not her brain stimulates me. I love how she makes me feel. I love that she is my safe space. It's, do you hear how those are two different things? When Zaina talks about JR, she doesn't say he makes her feel safe and secure. She doesn't say when I'm talking he really listens to me. You know, I can be vulnerable with him because he has provided that safe space for me, and I in turn provide that safe space for him. It's not deep. Their relationship is not deep. And so I feel like Zaina is another example where JR is there, and so she wants to be married because she wants the marriage and the kids and everything else, and JR is there and they work on most things, so she can settle for that. Okay, she can settle for that. That does not a marriage make. If you are always in shallow waters, you are always going to be curious about the deep end. But they're so cute. Like Zaina and JR, oh, they're so attractive. I love them together, quite honestly. Their aesthetic just So then we get into the first little parts of the speed dating, and this is when I knew the producers were also very unserious, because we cut to a clip where Dave is saying how when he was single he was a very charismatic talker, he was a real smooth operator. But then we cut to his first date. I can't remember who it was with, but it was so dead. It was so dead. Oh my gosh, if they had played crickets in the background, that just would have been like next level petty, because that's really what I was waiting to hear. Crickets in the background. Was the charisma in the room with us? Absolutely not. And then he also talks about, I think it was somebody else at this point, but Dave was talking about how he loves being vulnerable. I think he was talking to Arya maybe when he was saying that, and how he just loves being vulnerable. But I would like to see it. Was it Arya? But on that same date, he also says how he's somebody who likes doing acts of service for his partner. So like he'll wake up in the morning, like maybe get her coffee and stuff. And at first, his original partner was appreciative, but when that became like a commonplace thing, he felt the appreciation kind of went away, and it was more like expected instead of appreciated. And while I hear him on that, okay, let me say that I do hear him on that sometimes we take for granted when our partner is doing acts of service for us. But I feel like the coffee was a bad example. Getting your partner coffee because you want to, you should not be expecting anything in return for that anyway. If you are going to do acts of service, that's why acts of service are so tricky. Acts of service are supposed to be, you have a desire to lighten your partner's load. So you should not be expecting your partner to then fall to their knees and be like, oh, thank you so much for this espresso at 9:30 a.m. Okay, it is supposed to be, or the way I view acts of service, it's supposed to be, I'm getting my woman coffee because I know she cannot function without her first cup. I'm getting my partner coffee because she does not have time to get it herself, and I just want her day to be a little bit better, a little bit brighter, because she was able to have that first cup of joe. So whenever Dave talks, I'm like, you sound like you want a cookie every time you do something good, but that's bare minimum energy. You should have a desire to treat your partner right. That's bare minimum requirement to be in a relationship. If you do not have that desire to treat that partner right, that's not the person for you. And then we cut to JR and Sandy's date, and honestly, the way he was looking, like he wished he was Superman so that he could have x-ray vision as he was looking Sandy up and down. Because I think at the table they established that Sandy, JR, and somebody else are Scorpios. This season made me fear Scorpio men. Okay, I've never dated a Scorpio man. I've never been with a Scorpio man or anything. But if this is how the Scorpio men get down, I see why they be catching all them strays. I see why they be catching all that flack in the dating community. Because him saying, like, oh yeah, female Scorpios, I've never been with one, but that's always been on my list. And then he gave her that Honestly, if you have never watched Young, Famous, and African, you need to. This is a tangent. But this is why I always use that phrase, men will leave you in the desert without water. Because every day, men will be out here unprovoked, embarrassing you. And it's not like he threw shots at Zaina or anything like that. But I'm just saying, the way he pursued Sandy, because every time they were together and talking, it was always something physical. It was always something sexual. But then, when JR and Aria had a conversation, I actually did like their chemistry. Because I feel like he did get a little deeper with Aria. Like, I feel like Sandy is a good, to him, physical connection. And Aria was a good example of like a more emotional and mental connection. Because he wasn't saying as many physical things to Aria or leading with that like he was doing with Sandy. Like, it was obvious to everybody with eyes. JR was attracted to Sandy physically. We all could see that. Okay, we all could see that. But I feel like he was attracted to Aria physically and mentally just a little bit, but I didn't write down much from that conversation. And I feel like when women are ambitious, they also need to be with men who desire and understand that ambition. Because if you are not with a man who values, desires, and understands ambition, he will make you feel bad for being ambitious when he knew from jump that that was who you were. Like, at first, they always think that that's so attractive. The woman is ambition, things like that. But then when they're ready to settle down, men like Scotty seem, well, again, this is all speculation, but it's seeming like Scotty is the type of man who is like, okay, yeah, that was cute, but now I need you to step back because I'm expecting you to be the main person that's looking after these children. Speculation, but that's the vibe I'm getting. Then on the flip side, we get to see Zaina and Scotty talking. Now, Scotty is one of the few men who gave the ultimatum, and Zaina, obviously she's 31, she's ready to be married, so she's a year younger than, or a year older than Scotty. And they are talking, the chemistry is there. You could see it, everybody could see it, okay? They had some serious good conversation going. There were some flirty undertones there. The body language was talking, okay? At the end of the night when they're at like this cocktail party, they played some games. I think they played quarters. That game was messy. So it's kind of like telephone but with a quarter. So the people went around and you had to whisper a question in somebody else's ear. If it was heads, then the person you asked the question to had to say the question and give an answer. And then if it was tails, I guess they didn't say the question, they just answered. That quarter was rigged because every time somebody flipped it, it was heads. It made for great TV. It made for great TV. But I was sitting there like, dang, does nobody know how to flip a coin, or is everybody just messy? I wasn't mad at it. Quite honestly, I wasn't mad at it. But then later on that same night, during that first cocktail party, we have Aria and Caleb talking to each other. And then we have Scotty and Zaina really putting the flirty moves on each other. Like, they are sitting close together. Like, the hands keep accidentally but not really touching. Like, the banter is bantering, the chemistry is flowing. They get up and they barely get from in front of Aria before they start like holding hands and everything, and like they're at the bar laughing, giggling, stuff like that. And Aria gets visibly upset because Scotty is her original partner, and it is hard to see your original partner being so flirtatious in front of your face. So she gets visibly upset. She goes to, I'm assuming, the bathroom, and like she's crying and everything else. I expected, because usually when that happens on the ultimatum, the original partner will go and console the person who's crying. No. No, this is when I knew Scotty kind of diabolical on the low too, because Aria, I mean, she is visibly upset. Like, nobody missed that she was crying. But Scotty said, I'm entertaining Zaina right now. I don't have time for your tears right now, Aria. Like, Caleb had to get up and go back there and check on her, make sure she was okay, give her a hug, console her a little bit. And then Arya and Kayla walk back into the cocktail party together this whole time, because the way that they edit it makes me think that Arya was in that bathroom crying for a while, right? They finally get back, and Arya asks if she can separate Zaina and Scotty for a little bit, and Scotty, his face when she asked that, he was low-key very annoyed. Zaina was like, you know, yeah, that's fine, sure. So she gets up, she's looking a little like, but what can she say? Because everybody understands it's a lot of emotion right now. But this is when I first said, yeah, Scotty, I knew I didn't like something about you, because Scotty is like what's going on? And Arya is like, well, why did you have to hold her hand right in front of my face? Like, that was disrespectful. And he's saying, first he tried to gaslight her, because he said, holding hands with who? And she was like, Zaina, still visibly upset, so visibly trying to salvage her makeup and everything, because she's got obvious tear tracks, you know, like still trying to wipe her tears away. Okay, Scotty has not moved closer to wrap like an arm around her. Scotty has not tried to console her at all. He is on the gaslight train and he is not getting off. Okay, so then he's like, we weren't even doing all that. How long were you and JR talking? Not him trying to flip the script. And she's like, yes, but we were just talking. And Scotty's like, yeah, but so are we, just talking. And like, holding hands isn't even that disrespectful. But at first you were trying to say that you weren't even holding hands with anybody. And Arya's like, but I see it as disrespectful. I'm telling you, I see it as disrespectful. I don't like how Scotty was trying to say that he didn't like how Arya was coming to him about it. He felt like essentially she was doing too much, because she came over there and she said that I don't like what you're doing. And while Scotty is entitled to his opinion, so is Arya. Like, I feel like when people get on these shows, they forget you are going to have to go back to your original partner eventually. So the least you could do is be respectful. There was a way to handle that was better than that. Because if you still have, like, you can be connecting with these other people on the Ultimatum while still having love, care, and concern for your original partner. But we will see what happens in these next few episodes. If you liked the video, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so that you can be told when I upload next. Buckle ups, because I can already tell based off this first episode alone that the Ultimatum put on their application, are you willing to be messy? Are you willing to do your partner dirty? And I feel like a lot of these people said yes.